Good morning and welcome to It's a Beautiful Day in Fairfield, our Friday weekly podcast where we feature Fairfield. I'm Mark Turner, that's Claire Vaughn, and Judith Puckett from the Wayne County Historical Society has joined us. Good morning.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
Well, we're excited.
Oh my gosh.
You just know so much about local history. It's just exciting.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
I told her before we went on air, I said, I've been wanting her to come on since I've been asking, get a hold of her, since day one. So we are so excited to have you. And we've got some fans watching. So she said, that's a lot of pressure.
But we're not around people very often who are excited about history.
So that was one of my things, I wanted to talk to you about, because I was never a history person. We had Mr. Wells on last week, and I told him, he was my history teacher in school, and I said, I'm sorry, I had no interest in it when, and I passed. I got the, passing grade just to pass, and then I let it all go. And, I feel like you hit a certain age, and you start to realize, okay, this world has happened before me, and it's become so much more interesting. And I've found a love for history in general, but mostly local history.
Right.
Just buying this old building.
Oh, yes.
And
classic building.
Yes. And so everyone that comes in has a story about it. And we'll go in the historical society or the museum and just walk around, and it's just mind-boggling, this whole
packed
world.
Now.
Yes, it's amazing.
A person can't possibly see everything in one
No, not at all.
So,
So, have you always had a love for history, or what inspired?
In school, it was I didn't dislike it.
Yeah.
But I usually call it my midlife crisis. I got to a place where I thought I'd drop in the meetings and got really interested, and so I stuck with it, and it was pretty small then.
Yeah.
As with a lot of organizations, it goes up and down, and it was in a bit of a dip at the time, and so I just started found it fascinating, and here I am 30 years later.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It is fascinating to see the amount of history that's locally. I mean, it's just incredible, the amount.
It never stops.
Yeah.
Every time I think, that's covered, it never stops. I'm working on a church project right now on the history of all the churches in Wayne County, and I counted them and tried to find as many as possible, and they keep popping up. It's just like, oh, there was an old church by Walton's Creek. My grandfather told me about it. It's like, never heard of that.
Wow.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I never thought of that. But even in my lifetime, I can think of many that have, existed and then been knocked down, and just the cemeteries remain behind them or that type of stuff. So
there are a lot. I think I'm up to about, with a few repeats when they changed their name, about 150 something.
Wow, in Wayne County.
Wayne County only.
Wow.
I don't get out of the county much when somebody says, well, what about Wayne County? It's like, I have enough to do.
I'm busy enough here. Don't ask me these questions.
Yes.
So what is your source, or how do you find all of your information?
Well, I've at this point fairly practiced, and I started way back with the 1884 history of Wayne County, and pretty much read that through. It's a little overwhelming. It has some certain dry areas in it for reading. It's kind of like the begats in the Bible every once in a while. But then I immersed myself in old newspapers.
Okay.
And I was lucky enough, because of a few projects, Fairfield National Bank history, and then the Wayne County Press's big 150th anniversary. I read old newspapers, not on microfilm, but the actual papers, decades of them.
Really?
I was just fascinated by them, and you have a whole body of knowledge that you can't always touch, can't always bring, you just kind of absorb it. So I have all of that. And then I subscribe to a couple of online programs, a newspaper program that pulls up papers from the 1700s clear through. You can search it.
Wow. I'm just mind-boggled that those even got saved and processed and, put into a digital form or, like.
And Wayne County has no newspaper on that.
Wow.
So one of my hopes is that we get on there because everybody would love it.
Yes.
You just drink coffee cup after coffee cup and keep looking.
Yes.
But my
definitely.
favorite thing are old newspapers because you absorb the whole community
Yes.
as you read the articles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that is very,
That's pretty
very
cool.
neat.
Yeah.
So 30 years, and you said it's
Roughly.
kind of had, peaks and valleys throughout
Yeah.
that time. So
A lot more peaks lately.
Yeah.
Our membership has grown. I don't keep track of that, but I think we probably have 100 members and something like that. And within that, as with every organization, we have a cluster who do most everything.
right.
And we have a very good team, very good cluster of people.
That's great.
And so it's. I am certainly not alone. We've got a great team. The cemetery walk that we have done in the past really helped to bring a lot of people on board because it's very popular. It's a unusual way to present history. People
Yes.
just have a barrel of fun with it,
Yes.
And I think the people who come kind of have some fun as well. You don't get a hayride very often these days.
Right.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm a fall birthday girl, so that is my birthday dream. Just take me on a hayride and have a
Yes.
bonfire. But
Yes.
no, those I have never attended one, but I would
Uh-huh.
love to.
Yeah, well,
Go
you'll
to
get
the
a
next
chance,
one.
I think, next fall.
Good. Good deal.
Yeah.
That'll be a
we
lot
try
of
to
fun.
do it every other year so far.
Yeah, we've always wanted to go, but there's just always seems to be something going on.
I
that we
know.
can't
Yes.
do it.
It's in that time of year around Fairfield where there are 2 or 3 things
Yeah.
every weekend.
Football games
Yeah.
and volleyball
Yeah.
games and
But we have to have the weather decent and not
Right.
hopefully not terribly hot.
Yes, definitely. So you were talking about membership. So is it something that everyone can join if they're interested?
Anybody anywhere can join.
Okay.
It's $15 a year, and that's in these days that's pretty cheap.
Yeah,
you get
you can't get
a
much
meal
for
and a meal and a
fast food.
dessert
Yeah.
Seriously.
for that.
Wow.
So
Do they just contact you? Contact the Historical Society?
contact Historical Society. You can just drop by the Hannah House on any Saturday from 10:30 to 2, or the Early History Museum that's part of the library. And it's pretty easy to, or you could come to one of our monthly meetings, or you could email us, whatever.
When is your monthly meeting?
Usually third Thursdays.
Okay.
Evenings, usually in the meeting room of the library. This one is, it's this week. And we're going to show some old movies that we have had sent out, cleaned and preserved of early Fairfield.
How neat.
And then I will talk about them, probably. But it's a short one, and I'm going to show it straight through and keep my mouth shut. And then we'll go back through it, and I'll say, well, that's this place, and that's that place, and that's that place.
Yep, I see it on here. Thursday, July 18th at 6.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Oh, I've
that's
got a
what's-
little time.
Yeah. July meeting of the Wayne County Historical Society, and it has the old film on there.
Yes,
so,
yes.
Follow them on Facebook, Wayne County Historical Society. It's so fun to go through and look at the old
Oh, I love old
photos.
pictures.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's my favorite pastime. Just even just digging through our family photos, and just looking at those. But I've went into a wormhole on here before and just went back through and looked at all the pictures on here. So
I don't
give
know how
them a
many.
follow.
I don't know how many times somebody has said, "Well, we have some old pictures, but we don't know who the people are."
Yeah.
And I said, "Where are they?" And they say, "Well, it's somewhere in Fairfield." I say, "Bring them down.
We'll
Yeah.
figure
Don't
it
throw them.
out.
If
Yeah.
you're going to throw them away, let us be your wastebasket because I like the backgrounds."
Yeah.
Yes.
I got a DVD copy of a old video of Fairfield.
1939.
I think so. Yeah. I love watching that. I just pull it out and look at it.
Yeah.
I'll have to watch it sometime
Yeah,
because
I'll bring it. It's on a DVD form, but
Right.
it is really cool.
The Lions Club did that.
Was it the okay? Was it the
And it
Lions
was a fundraiser for something. I don't remember quite what for. Unfortunately, and is that it runs fast and it's jerky.
yeah.
And the camera person just kept trying to pack it in. you know, which is understandable, but then...
It's like, slow down, let us enjoy it.
You know, so it's, we have a series of reels that are 35 millimeter, or no,
Okay.
whatever the...
Oh, the 8 millimeter.
No, the biggest, used for movies.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Whatever that is. We have several reels of that
Wow.
were taken in the 20s for Sexton Factory. And we've sent those away to have them preserved. And we're going to need to edit them because they're long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? But we're kind of lucky in that area.
Fascinating.
Yes.
It's fast. It's
I
very
need
fascinating.
an editor.
Look at the videos, and you go, I know where that is. I know what that is.
Yeah.
That's my favorite, is just to find the old pictures of like downtown, even throughout the times, and just to see how much even this one street has changed. Back when it used to be a two-way street here, you know,
Yeah.
and the cars are not parallel, but perpendicular, parked in there, and how the buildings have all changed. And
If you do that enough with the information that goes with them, like I'll walk down Main Street and I'll see like 3 generations or 4 or 5 generations of people and businesses just in my head, you know, which makes it really fascinating, you know, because I think, well, that was Powell's saddle shop right there. You know, and it just is a very rich way to walk around.
Yes, definitely. It gives you a whole different appreciation for our area.
Yeah. This building across here, the Boggs building, Mama Bears.
Mama Bears, yep.
Yeah. So far, I think that's the oldest one left, 1874.
Wow.
So they've taken pretty good care of that. White brick went on in about 1907. So
Is that the is it the Mason building, or what's the one that Crystal and Travis Vaughn own? It's like right past Mama Bears, right past
the Hirsch's?
Hirsch's.
The big stone building?
Yes, I love it.
Yes,
like
that
it's like an
started
old
out-
mercantile or something.
It started out as a lumber yard.
Oh, really?
Mulville Hill and then it became Schaefer. No, first it was Harvey, then Mulville Hill, and then it was Schaefer. My parents knew it as Schaefer.
Okay.
And they had everything in the world there. They switched from lumber over to like stoves and hardware and all of
Okay.
that. And that building's been there a long time.
Oh, and I just think
Yeah.
it's absolutely beautiful.
It is. The
I just
upstairs, those windows are just, I'd love to have a studio up there.
I know, I bet, yeah. Crystal and Travis, come on, hook us up here. I think it would be a really cool, just like mercantile exchange type, you know, just, it's just gorgeous. It's a beautiful open building, and those windows, love
Yes.
it.
When I was a kid, you went in there and you bought your stuff, and then you gave the clerk your money, and it went on a overhead wire, you know, in a little basket up to the cashier. That was, you know, there's a stairway that goes up. There's a platform halfway up.
Yeah.
Well, that was all the office for the cashier, and so that they would make your change and give you your receipt and send it back.
No way.
I was really small,
Oh.
and then that went away. And then I may get it a little conflated because the last place I was in Mount Vernon, big department store, and
Yeah.
they had a pneumatic set of tubes that would send
Shoot
your
it
money
up.
back. They'd
Just
make
kind of
the
like a
change.
bank, you know?
Yeah.
But that's so funny.
No clerk handled any money.
Wow. That's
Before
really
credit cards, where you don't handle money.
Yep.
Right. I don't carry cash because if I have it, I spend it, you know? It's like, I feel like.
really?
I
Yeah.
know. I wish it was like, you'd think if it was in your hand, it'd be harder for you to spend than a credit card. But for some reason, if I have cash, it is gone.
I'm of the generation, I feel kind of financially naked unless I have some cash.
Yes,
Always.
yes.
Well,
Always
I
have
mean,
some.
how many years? You know, I said, I will never buy just a drink
Right, with the credit
with my
card.
yeah.
with
or
my debit card.
yeah.
Never do it. Never do it. Now it's just like,
Yes.
here you go.
I do still kind of feel bad for that because, you know, there's charges with it.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm
Yes.
sorry, I don't have any cash. Here's, you know, for $1.95.
Yeah.
But one thing I was going to talk about, you guys did the like QR codes around downtown,
Yes,
right?
Yes, that was an experiment we did, and
Yeah.
we learned a lot from it, and we're going to revisit that.
Good. I think it
Yes.
was awesome. You
Yes.
know, they made these QR codes, they put
Yeah.
them on the historical buildings. You could walk around, do a tour, and scan the QR code, and it'd give you all of this information about the building and the history of it, and I
Yes.
love it.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yes.
it worked out pretty well. We have to, our posters, we had pictures with them. And so those have all faded and some of them disappeared a little bit. And
Yeah.
So we did that last fall,
Yeah.
heading into homecoming and things of that sort, which is probably what we will do now, and hopefully have more of them.
Yeah.
And a little bit more individualized. Because sometimes we had to cluster some buildings because we
Time constraint. And,
and what photographs
Yeah.
we have. But yeah, that's one of our goals, is to figure out how to get the history out there with smartphone
Yes.
assistance.
Yeah.
And so that walking tour is one thing, and down the road we want to kind of we would like a driving tour to
Yeah.
widen it. And everybody wants a Shelton driving tour. I don't know if we're going to be able to do that. People, I don't think, realize how vastly changed everything is.
Right.
You know, I mean, Charlie Harris is like over 100 years old now.
Right.
You know, it's just
Right.
So the mystique is there for sure, but we have a lot we could do. It's a limitation of time.
And funds. Like when Mayor Mike Dreeth was alive, him and I talked about, like I lived in Colorado for a while, and you'd go drive around these just little towns, and then you would come up, pull off, and there would be a QR code. It'd just be this stand, a QR code, or it would be just this like platform with information and pictures of what that area used to look like. It was an old gold mining town.
Oh.
Now you look out there and it's nothing. There's,
Yes.
and it was like this area had 2 banks and 3 churches, and it was this vast booming town, and now there's nothing. And so we kind of talked about that. How cool would it be to have, okay, this is the Shelton gang where this corner is where whatever,
Yeah.
but have it more permanent. And I think you guys are like kind of on, like, I can just imagine it downtown, just having little. It's
Most
like
of
a
the
walk-in
places you
tour,
go, they
you
have a
know?
little, almost like just a pole and a little.
Yes. Little blurb
Have a
or
little plaque or,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the word I was
something that's
Yeah.
waterproof and
Exactly.
isn't going to fade. But I just our downtown is, we're so lucky to have it.
We are.
And that's just an added little
You
perk.
You used to, we're talking about the plaques, you used to see those a lot on the, historical markers as you're driving along.
Oh, yeah.
You don't see them so much anymore. But I love I always, whenever I saw them,
you pull off.
I'd
and-
always pull off and take a look, see what they said.
You still have them.
I was gonna say-
Illinois, I think it's the Illinois Illinois Historical Society, or there's 2 or 3 of them that I get a little mixed up. They do that still.
Okay.
You have to. It costs a bit.
Okay.
Okay.
And I don't know that they're still bronze, since they were a nice
Yeah.
bronze for a
Yeah.
long time. But and the latest controversy about them is that they may be too slanted in terms of at the
Right.
time they were written. So as with everything now, they're
Okay.
getting a second look, and people are starting to pick at
Everything's-
them. But I'm of the opinion it's like, at least they're there.
Yeah.
At least we have something to argue about.
That's right.
Listen, if we had nothing to argue about, what would we do?
How much fun would society be?
Exactly.
Exactly.
We should be apparently we're nationwide. We're having lots of fun.
Yeah.
Mhm.
For real.
So out of the 30 years you've been doing this, what's the most interesting thing you've ever discovered?
Not to put you on the spot or
not-
anything.
Yeah.
I mean, but just not necessarily the most, but some of the coolest things you've ever found out.
Oh man, my brain is kind of having a bit of a rush. of,
Overload here.
Details. I think it depends upon the area. I think I'll just pick one. It's not going to be the one at the top. Just keeps revolving. But when I was reading old newspapers, in the safe at the Wayne County Press, they have the very first newspaper, which goes back to the early 1865, and then there was an earlier paper that goes back to the 1850s.
Wow.
The 1850s and 60s are my personal private obsession, because I've been researching for years on the hanging of Henry Volt in 1853 here. It was a huge story. It was a man who believed to have committed a murder in White County, and it was venued over to Wayne County, and it was a big, big trial, and he was hanged, apparently out here there's some controversy on where. Most people settle on what would now be the yard of the Fairfield Memorial Hospital.
Okay.
And then someone else confessed to it after he had been hanged. And so that itself is fascinating, and I've gathered everything I can possibly find on it. My file is getting pretty thick. But I think the fact that he was innocent, the fact that nothing was mentioned of it anywhere else in the histories of Wayne County, in the published histories, it was just, the place was silent.
Really?
Except for maybe a few years later, people will say, well, my grandfather was at the crowd whenever they did that, they did that. But the neatest, weirdest thing is, I read an old interview that Mr. Lawrence, who was the first president, who did a fantastic job for 20 years, he interviewed a guy who was the grandson of Dr. Boggs, who used to be in this building of yours. He was upstairs when he was older. And he told a story about his grandfather, Richard L. Boggs, who was one of the first doctors here. Very, he was kind of like Dr. Gershenson. His whole career was here. Everybody knew him, and he was a character around town. And he said there, and it's just a little snippet, and I think I just reeled in my chair. He said that after Henry Volz was hung, he was buried with the rope around his neck in a casket right below the gallows out here. That his grandfather, Richard Boggs, Dr. Boggs, a young man at that time, went out and dug up Henry Volz. And that at that time, doctors who wanted to show that they had been to medical school as opposed to just reading medicine with an old doctor. Yeah. One of the things that they did was display a skeleton. They could use it as an object lesson. Mm-hmm. And this Mr. Boggs said that the skeleton in his grandfather's office was Henry Volz.
No way.
I don't know that it's true. But that's a moment, and I thought, oh my.
that is, wow.
Yes, but it's just like I have no way to prove it.
Yeah.
I just can't.
But who makes up that?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
How do you make this up? Yeah. I'm a unsolved
that's
mysteries
one of those
girl.
Stories where you gotta sit around the campfire at night with a flashlight under your chin.
Yes. For real.
Yeah.
I'm hooked on that story now. I just can't imagine, why did the guy wait until he was hanged to admit that he...
Oh, he according to Henry Volz, the man who did it was in the crowd, and he called him out by name. But then some other people said he wasn't there.
Okay.
So the guy had, if he did it, he was gone. Henry Volz named him, and then the stories on what happened to this man, who supposedly really did it, split. And I'm having a lot of difficulty at the old files. But someone said it was a deathbed confession.
Okay.
Some people said a few months later. Other things hint that it was a little bit later,
mm-hmm.
and that it was either in Missouri, Tennessee.
Oh my gosh, it's all over the place.
So I don't know how people found out about it. I don't know how they got the word, but the hanging was upsetting. I mean, there were hundreds and hundreds of people here. It was like a huge social event. And there was a young man named Wilmans, who was just a kid and worked at the newspaper, a short-lived newspaper there. And so he took advantage of it and made a little pamphlet about the day and went around selling it at the crowd as for the hanging. Made a lot of money.
Wow.
And then felt really badly about it because the hanging itself was gruesome,
mm-hmm.
and people who had come to party suddenly didn't feel like partying.
Yeah. Well, no.
And so it stuck in his mind because it was a moment in his life when he realized there are consequences to me wanting to make a nickel
mm-hmm.
off of this man's history.
Yes.
On the day he's hanged.
Wow.
So anyway.
Yeah, I can't imagine that time where, that kind of was a social event where people would go and watch hangings or...
Public hangings were actually went clear back to Europe.
Wow.
And we, but so I'm working on scoping out the details and putting it in some kind of sense, and then chasing it from White County to here to there. So in about, I don't know, 5 years or so, I'll have a book.
That's exciting.
If I get there that long.
Wow.
I've got too many things ahead of it.
Have you wrote any books yet? Do you have any books out there?
No. Well, I did a few little local history things. I always keep putting them on the shelf because projects keep coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm phasing myself out so that I can do other things.
Devote more time to, that type of stuff.
Yeah, that shelf that I keep putting things on is really dusty.
Oh, I know. I know the feeling there, but when you're passionate about something, it's hard to, walk away from it, too.
Well, I have a grandson now. That helps.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, you get to a place where you want to spend a lot of time there. If you think, well, I could do research or I could play with him.
Yeah.
It's a pretty easy decision.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, that is a very, very cool story. Okay, so you said Hannah House. Mm-hmm. They're open on Saturdays.
Yes, April through October.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the old medical clinic, and it was originally the Hannah Home. That's why it's called that.
Okay.
And it's an 1875 house, or 74, right in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody remembers it as the medical clinic.
Okay.
My generation.
Yes.
And doctors bought it about mid-1950s, and then transformed the original house 3 times.
Wow.
So it's internally the building is totally reconfigured.
Okay.
But externally, you can obviously see the 1874 part and
Yeah.
the 1956 part.
Yeah.
It belongs to the city. We lease it from them.
Oh, okay.
And so I was really unsure about that whole project, but it's worked out really, really well. And it is jam-packed. We have space problems.
Yes. There is
So
so
we
much.
turn some things down. We just
Yeah.
literally don't have space to display it.
Yeah, I
So,
believe it. There's so much in there, and every room kind of has a theme or an era, or so if you have not been there, you have got to go. I don't even care if you don't think you like history, or you know what I mean, like go in there, and it's just, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah, I mean, at least see the swamp monster.
Yes. You can learn so much, and it's so entertaining. And the girls that are in there, they're so helpful too. Like I brought my boys, and at some point I was more interested than they were like 6 and 4.
You have to grow into it.
Yes, and so they got out like coloring pages, and helped entertain them while I kind of walked around. And you guys do a lot of fun activities too. Like in the fall, there's pumpkin painting and all sorts of.
Jamie and Nikki Wrathy
Yes.
are the Hannah House staff, and they do a lot of outreach.
Yes.
A lot of work with kids. You can tell they used to be school teachers.
Yes.
And so that those skills work well for them. And they also now are taking care of the Olive Branch School. Which we use as a museum.
Okay.
And I think they have activities there. They have field trips, like Northside School kids could walk over.
That's nice.
And do various things.
Yeah.
So they're a big outreach.
They do a great job
for us.
So the Olive Branch School, that was a real schoolhouse back in the day? Yeah?
Yes, it came off the Burnt Prairie Road several miles down there, and it was donated. A lady, Ruth Eileen Burkett, some of my listeners would know her as Dynamite. She arranged to have it donated by the family that owned the school, owned the land, and it was jacked up and moved up the Burnt Prairie Road, up 4th Street, and over and out to the park. And then Bud French, as in Leo French Park.
Yeah.
He and some assistants, but mainly him, they restored it, but it's original. It's the last original with its interior intact in Wayne County. There are several schoolhouses that still are here. Some of them are old houses themselves, and some are just falling down in the fields. But this one has been saved, and so it kind of represents all of them. There used to be, like, I think when I did that project, I got up to 156 one-room schools in this county.
Wow.
Over a period of time, and there are more earlier that were logged and were not recorded.
Wow.
Yeah, this county started out with log buildings.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's very neat.
Yeah, there's a couple houses in town. One I know of for sure that when you tear out everything, you end up with the original log building under it.
Wow.
And I'm sure there are others that we don't know about. I mean, that owner didn't know it until the
Until they were doing some remodeling, yeah.
We have someone chiming in the live chat. Saddle Maker says that is a very interesting place to visit. Fairfield is my hometown, but I reside in Florida now. My grandpa Humphrey's medals are also on display there. So talking about the Hannah House, that's very cool.
Yes.
Very cool.
I'm very fond of our military exhibits.
Yes.
Because they, first of all, it brings out a lot of personal history.
Yes.
And it's very important for us to preserve not just those objects, but the respect that goes with them. My favorite military object is a dollar bill. It was a Mr. Dove from Keynes. It was in the Pacific in World War II. And every one of his squad that survived signed that dollar.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah. So their signatures are faintly on that dollar.
Oh my gosh, that gave me goosebumps. That's amazing. Oh man. You can just feel the when you look at stuff like that, you can just feel the presence of those people. We have
a seat out of a kamikaze plane. It was all that the guy got. It was Orland Brack. He was there, and I won't go into what he did, but he was hit by a kamikaze and it injured his arm terribly. And the doctors were just overwhelmed with injuries, and so they came up to him and they were going to amputate his arm, but the surgeon was so exhausted that he says, "I'm going to wait." And so by the time the surgeon came back, he had an idea, and he took pieces of that plane, like the aerial, aerial, and he manufactured a joint and put it in his elbow.
No way.
And he saved his arm, and he came home with pieces
what?
playing his elbow.
Oh my gosh.
Lots of stories.
Well, hey, I mean, at least he went and took a nap and he didn't lose his arm. And that's
the
a
surgeon
story.
had time to think about it.
What doesn't kill you?
Yeah.
There's a watch in there that's made from pieces of a kamikaze plane.
Wow. Yeah. That is crazy. I mean, the stories we could go
Oh, I know.
on and on and on.
Yeah, I have to be shut up. I kind of, whenever I speak, I keep my focus on the eyes of the person who's listening, and so when the glaze starts, I just say, "Well, I think I need to leave."
No. Well, we're not glazing over yet at all.
No, man, this is very fascinating.
I know. If anyone has any questions for Judith,
yeah, please
put them in the live chat, and we'll see if she can answer them. I'm going to do our birthdays and anniversaries real quick, and we'll let you think of some more stories. And happy birthday to Sherry Winter and Nikki Easton and Leah Moyer on July 7th. July 8th, happy birthday to my nieces Raleigh Fry and Aniston Jennings, and happy birthday to Dave Medler. On July 9th, happy birthday to Tobias Smith, my niece Grayson Vaughn. I got lots of birthdays this week in my family. Happy birthday to Doug Anderson and Bradley Gruen. On July 10th, happy birthday Lily Wells, Liz Ann Woodrow, Erlene Obrecht, Brady Marshall, and Janelle Tate. Yesterday, July 11th, happy birthday to Kinsey Tucker, Kathy Burkett, Ethan McElravy, Eric Turner, and Megan McKnight. Happy birthday today to Angie Harrison, Eric Vaughn, and Chris Raber. And happy birthday tomorrow to Bryce Greenwood, Jordan Kaiser. Happy anniversary to Stanley and Diane Vaughn on July 7th, and Richard and Pat Vaughn on July 10th.
All right, I got a birthday for you, too.
All right.
Happy birthday to Tina. She's celebrating on Sunday.
Sunday. Yep. Happy birthday, Tina. Very exciting.
Start thinking about what kind of cake to bake.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing to celebrate?
I
saw you were closing early today, taking tomorrow off.
Yeah, we're going to just take some time away.
All right. Well, enjoy. Enjoy. I feel like I need to work all weekend after my time away last weekend.
Things do
Thursday.
back up, don't they?
Yes. Thursday was 4th of July, and I was like, okay, I own my own business, so I'm not going to work on Friday either.
Mm-hmm.
And then Saturday and Sunday, and it was like, I'm just
then you
trying
play
to
catch up.
listen. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
trying to ignore everything I could, and I came in on Monday, and I'm like, you just weighted down, like,
I forgot to text every problem that I had over the weekend. I had it all planned out. I was going to do Thursday, Friday, twice on Friday.
set alarms for like
Yeah.
5:30
Yeah.
a.m. and
People need a breather.
yes.
The breather's worth it usually.
It is. My one of my best friends, Rindy, she lives in Robinson, but she posted something the other day that she's out of her boss mom era, and now she's into her, I can't remember the word of it, but it was like, she's really focusing on slowing down, enjoying the moment, and like just being present. And like, listen, we don't have to prove anything to anyone. For a long time, women, that was, you know what I mean?
It's very hard to get out of that.
Yes, it is. It is. And I'm trying to set boundaries. I'm trying to, turn my do not disturb on after a certain time in the day, because we all need to disconnect. And I feel like it causes a lot of issues when you're going all the time.
Unfortunately, it requires a lot of work to relax.
It does. How do I turn my mind off from thinking about all the things I should be doing right now?
yes,
You know?
yes.
I always envy my husband because he can like sit in the chair, take a nap, and I just can't nap because I'll sit there and I'll be like, oh man, the dishes need done. I need to fold that laundry that I took out of the
There is
dryer.
another stage waiting.
Yeah.
The dishes still need to be done. Everything still needs to be done. But you sit in the chair and you nap. And
You
you're
nap.
fairly guilt-free in the sense that you think, oh well.
I mean, it'll be there tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm getting close to the stage where, I have the 6-year-old and the 4-year-old.
My.
So, hey, chores. Go do those dishes for mommy, This is why we have children, right?
That's right.
Workforce.
Yeah.
There's a lot of history behind that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's do a few events really fast. The Wayne County Agricultural Fair is going on this week. Rodeo was last night. Tonight is the tractor pull, which is always a big time. And then tomorrow is the demo derby. I need to take my children, but I have not yet. I'm not sure if I'm going to or not. I don't know.
We were out there Wednesday night. Beautiful night.
Yes.
On Wednesday. Place was packed because it was pig penning night.
That's become the new
Yeah.
big hit.
that
It's
is
huge.
It is. But it was, everything was great. We had a great time.
Good.
Weather was great. And,
Good.
we didn't go to the pig penning. We just
Yeah.
listened to Gary Carter do the announcing
Call
and from the crowd and stuff. It was great.
It's amazing how many teams they have, and everyone's family comes out to watch them.
And the innovative names they come up with the teams.
Yes, and they all have matching T-shirts and the pigtails, and it's so cute.
The matching T-shirts. Well, I mean, you'll eventually, when you do that, everybody's going to have a matching shirt on because they're all diving in the mud.
They're all muddy. We talked about doing a Mule Nation or Raylan James marketing team. I'm like, do we really want to go out there and embarrass ourselves? We'll probably throw a knee out, or we opted out, but maybe next year.
I think we should.
I know, it'd be fun. Because they have a business category, and the business gets a traveling trophy. So you could have a trophy to display in your
That's
office.
right.
For,
That would be
listen,
right in the
here's my
window.
college degree, and here's where we're the
Yes.
2024 pig
Yes.
penning champions.
Yes,
That's
right.
a real
And,
accolade.
most people would be far more impressed by the second.
Yeah.
Everyone has a college degree anymore.
Yeah. College degree. Yeah. Pig penning. Wow. Man.
Yes.
Tell me more about that.
How does that work?
That's so funny. You're from the country when
Oh,
you
yeah.
have pig penning at the Wayne County Fair. Speaking of Wayne County Fair, also there is a craft and vendor market going on today from 4 to 10 and tomorrow from 4 to 10. That is at the
In the floral hall.
Floral Hall.
The air-conditioned
Yeah,
floral
go
hall.
take
So
your
if you're at the fair
break.
and you get hot, you
Yes.
can run in there and cool off a little bit.
Yes, go
It
support
used to
the
be a
local
sauna.
vendors. Oh, yeah. And it's very echoey in there,
It does.
I feel like.
It
yeah.
does echo a little bit.
Next week, We're having kids' summer day camps up at RJ on Main. Today is actually the last day to sign up for those. We're doing a kids' camp in the morning from 9 till noon, and then a girls' camp in the afternoon from 1 till 4. If you want to sign up, go to RJ on Main's Facebook page, and there are events linked on there. We'd love to have you. Farmers Market's still going on at Bless Bloom's Flower Farm and Market every Saturday until September 21st, 8 a.m. till noon. If you have not been out to those yet, please go check it out and support them. We're so blessed to have Bless Bloom's Flower
No
Farm
pun
Market.
intended, right?
No pun intended.
I tell you, we were out there last weekend for
Yeah.
for the farmers market. Man, lots of really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Lots of locally made things.
I love it. I mean, when we would travel, like my family, they live in Clarksville, my mom and stepdad and my sister and her family, and we'd go to the farmer's market on a Saturday morning. It's awesome. And it's like we never had that here, and I'm so thankful for it. Going to be able to go and buy homemade sourdough bread and fresh jelly and jams, all the stuff that our grandparents did for us. That we did not seem to learn how to do. But I love that it's kind of trending back in where people are interested in learning that homestead type stuff again.
And
because
a lot of it has to do with the prices of everything. Everything's going up, and
that's true.
You learn to save where you can.
I'll tell you what really got me a little bit inspired was COVID when that happened and we're all stuck at home. And I thought, I will not survive an apocalypse, or you know what I mean? Like when we run, how long till we can get out of the house? Like I don't have like a pantry full of garden green beans, or like how am I going to survive? So it kind of helped inspire me. Yeah,
motivational.
Yeah, not that I still have a sourdough starter in my house. I haven't started it
Careful,
yet.
it'll take over.
I haven't started it yet. It's still dehydrated because I'm like, I have to keep this thing alive.
It is a commitment to put that liquid in there.
I said, I've got 2 boys and a dog. Like, can I really take on a sourdough right now?
I think it's best to wait.
I've never quite heard the COVID area.
I hope you don't have to wait for another pandemic. But
use this motivational person.
I mean, listen, some good things came out of COVID. That and for small businesses, help small businesses with their marketing, and I feel like it really pushed them to step out of their comfort zone. We're so used to people coming into the brick and mortar, shopping. That's the only way that they sold things, And I use Christy Horning as a great example every time because she started her live videos. And she ships all over the United States now. So I think
she is on top of it.
She is. Yes. Now, she's my little, inspiration for a business owner because she steps up to whatever challenge, and she's been here for 3 years.
I think there are more than just your small business that have used her as an inspiration.
Oh,
there are
sure.
All up and downtown.
Yeah.
So.
Yep, definitely. She
has the work ethic.
Yeah.
Yes, she does. Yes, she does. No days off for that woman.
Nope.
But, okay. What kind of trivia you got for us today?
I have.
Are you going to try to quiz the history master on history?
I am, as a matter
Get ready
of fact.
for my answer. I don't know.
Now, these are some of these questions were taken from the Wayne County CEO class game that was a couple of years ago.
Fun.
Okay. So these are businesses past and present, and a couple of history things thrown in there.
Okay.
Number 1. This business on West Main Street puts up a senior wall every year.
Oh, yeah, Gordy's.
Yeah. Gordy's Machine Shop.
This former business is now the CDC.
Oh, farmer store.
Fairfield Lumber.
CDC.
Oh, CVC.
Yeah,
I thought you meant
CVS.
CVS, yeah. Oh, sorry.
That's kind of
CVC
across the street. And CVS right across the street. That's kind of... All right, number 3.
Who ran that?
Who ran
Mary
which?
John Lear.
A farmer's
Farmer's
daughter?
store?
A farmer's store,
right?
yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
Or and her
grandmother
mom.
started.
Okay.
Grandfather started it. Hoffy's.
Okay.
And what was Mary John's Ansley? Her mom's name was Ansley, right?
Ansley Jones.
Yes.
Her Ansley Jones's husband was Fairfield Lumber.
Really?
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I did never make that
We're
connection.
gonna learn something. All right. Wayne County is named after this Revolutionary War general.
Oh, yeah, Anthony Wayne.
Yep.
Mad
Anthony Wayne.
So
Have we ever found out why he was so mad?
It was in a battle.
Okay.
And also it was his obsession as a military man. He was kind of idol. His idol was on high.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to be
But
mad.
he was successful, and it was bloody, and
Okay.
he was a hero.
We kind of went into a story. I can't remember who was on here.
Dave Rigg.
Dave Rigg talked
Yeah.
about Mad
he's
Anthony Wayne.
researched him.
And it kind of gave me the impression that why is Wayne County named after this man?
There are a lot of counties named Wayne County after this guy because he, at the time, he
Right.
was he
Well
was a
looked-
celebrity.
Yes. And now the way we think and the way we view things, we may not see him that way.
No,
But
our culture
Yes,
has
changed.
changed.
Are-
180.
Are there any Revolutionary War veterans buried in Wayne County?
Oh yeah, at the
Are there?
cemetery.
Okay.
You can thank Doris Bland and for erecting stones with their names on them out here in the military cemetery. They are not necessarily buried there, but that is to memorialize
Yeah.
the
Okay.
Revolutionary soldiers here. Some of them, like in Bovey Cemetery, their stone is practically gone, if not gone.
oh,
Number 4, I'm sorry. This Fairfield coffee shop has a clever name that means combining ingredients.
fusion.
There you go.
That was blank.
He's right across the street, and we may or may not be
love that.
addicted to
I
him.
love
So,
that.
so good.
5.
place.
This former men's clothing store in downtown Fairfield was located in the former home of Mindy's Sew Shop.
Oh, Male Connection.
Male Connection.
Huh. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That was where Male Connection was, wasn't
And
it?
before that, it was Arnold's.
Yeah.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
I think my mom worked at Arnold's when
Yeah.
was at a
It was
department
it was
store.
a nice women's clothing.
Yes. My mom
Go
worked
in
there
buy
back in
your
the day.
hose, your white gloves for Easter.
Yeah.
Oh, back when we were fancy,
Mhm.
didn't wear jeans.
Easter hats.
Continuing on. This former business was located where Mindy's Sew Shop is now.
Well, take your pick.
Well,
Oh yeah.
Bowman's,
everybody got
Western
their bikes
Auto.
from there.
Western Auto.
Western Auto.
Yeah.
I don't guess I remember that. What
That's
year
the
was
one
that?
I was thinking of,
Yeah.
Western Auto.
Yes.
What
Yes.
year was that? Do you know what
Oh, it's
time frame?
60s.
Okay.
I
60s,
think it
70s, 80s.
Lasted up into the mid-'80s, didn't it?
I'm guessing that.
Because I can
think so.
remember when I first
Mm-hmm.
met my wife,
Mhm.
and
It
I
was
would come
there.
here. It was there.
Mhm.
I'm an '86 girl, so I don't remember it.
Okay.
It was used to be subtract 100 some years. It was Brockett's
Really?
furniture
Okay.
and caskets.
Really?
Rockets, furniture, and caskets.
Mhm.
That's funny. The combination.
Well, it makes sense.
I
I,
mean, I guess.
They had the wood.
Speaking of caskets, several years ago, just on a whim, I looked up buying caskets.
Okay.
I didn't know you could buy caskets on Amazon and
Oh
Walmart.com.
my gosh.
But apparently you can.
That's funny. Good to know.
Why should
I need it in 2
surprised.
days or less. Yeah.
That's true. All right. The owner of this Fairfield business is sometimes called the mayor of Main Street.
Ah, Christy.
Carnaby, yeah.
Christy. You betcha. Okay. This was once the largest employer in Fairfield.
Sexton. Airtex.
Airtex.
Okay.
It was Shepherds before that.
How many people did the garment factory? How many people did that employ?
It was big for a while, but
Yeah.
I don't believe it was ever as big as Airtex.
So
But the garment factory moved around. Johnny
Okay.
Manufacturing used to be on West Main, and then they built the garment factory after that building collapsed.
okay,
And it was out on Highland.
it's like behind the high school,
Yep.
right?
That was a dress company.
Okay, so they made dresses. When
Mm-hmm.
I think garments, I'm like, I think of my grandma saying your undergarments, that type
Well, that
of
was
thing.
because
but-
Sexton was underwear.
Okay.
Yeah, the underwear for World War I soldiers, a lot of it came from Fairfield. We were the underwear
Really?
capital. Before that, we were the poultry capital. Before that, we were the red top capital. So
Red top?
Red top is a grass seed.
Oh.
It was a cash crop around the 1800s to 1920s. People made fortunes on it.
Wow. And now we're the meth capital, right? No.
I wasn't going to go there, but
I have a question for you real fast, Mark. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I like to talk, but Mayor Mike Judith, before he passed away, he made the comment that before we were known as the home of the friendly people, we were known as the land of beautiful women.
the City of Beautiful Women. It was a placard across West Main,
Okay.
hung above the road.
No way.
And it was connected to Sexton Factory.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
what they wanted to do was they needed a workforce of single women.
Mm-hmm.
And so they pulled them off the farms.
Really?
Okay, and so they put up cabins, little apartment houses, a semicircle of them right by the factory.
Mm-hmm.
The girls could rent their room. It was, I think there were 16 people, and they just packed them in there.
Wow.
And then they walked across the yard and they worked at the factory. And that was Mr. Ferguson, who owned Sexton at that time. That was his way of getting a stable workforce. Yes.
So
And
these were like the farmers' daughters that weren't married yet. They would
Yes.
come and work.
It was their chance to be liberated.
Yeah.
You know, because they didn't have many options,
Yeah.
and he needed to preserve their reputations, and so it was very controlled. They had a matron who lived there. They had a gate that and men were only allowed in the recreation hall.
Really?
You know, and they had a barbed wire fence going around the back.
Oh my
And
God.
people laughed and said they'd get all kinds of torn fabric going from one
Trying to
side to
get
the
over.
other over that barbed wire
Listen,
fence.
we're finding a way. We're supposed to be liberated right now.
So,
that's
yes.
Oh,
so,
I love it.
Yeah,
I
that's
love
so
it.
crazy.
Wow. Couple more here for you.
Okay.
Real easy. You know, this business was once located where Carter Turf and Tractor is.
Save a lot.
Save a lot. Yep.
Was it
Kroger's.
Kroger? Yeah.
Yes.
Kroger.
Okay.
And before that, it was there were some little road hotels. You know,
Really?
tourist kind
Yeah.
of cabins there many years ago. I don't remember them.
That's pretty. Okay.
I want to
Several
start
of
a campaign to bring back Kroger as well. I
Oh.
love Save a Lot, but I do love me some Kroger too.
All right. Here's the final question. What gang was the chief rival of the Burger Gang?
Shelton Gang.
Gosh, I don't know.
Yeah. Never heard of them.
What now? Okay. Now tell me this. I've always heard this story. Did it really happen?
Okay.
There was an airplane.
Oh yeah, it did.
Okay. And
Down
they
south,
they
Williamson
dropped the
County.
bomb, right?
Yes.
Okay.
They missed, pretty much. And,
The Shelton Gang dropped the bomb?
yes,
or
they
Okay,
did.
the
on
Shelton
on
gang
the
got-
burger
okay.
hideout.
Now, see, on
Yeah.
old Route 13 going from Harrisburg to Marion,
Yep.
there was one of those bronze placards
Yeah.
where the Charlie Burger's house was.
That's supposedly the first bombing of something in the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard a story about the Sheltons getting a pilot. I don't know if it was for that one. I think the story implied it was for that event.
Uh-huh.
But they found this kid who could fly the plane, and they promised him if he would take them where they wanted to go, that they would give him a car as his
Yeah.
payment. So he does this, and they land, and they say, "Here's your car." So he drives off in the car, and he gets picked up because they'd stolen the car.
Oh, that's
some stories, you don't know if they're true, but oh well.
yeah.
They're pretty rich.
That's great.
And it seems very Shelton-like.
I was going to say, it seems very believable.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
That is crazy.
That's a great story.
Okay, so you were talking about they built that little area of, U-shape for the garment
yeah,
factory.
right.
Wasn't there another, or maybe that's what I've seen. Like, I've seen where they built, like, housing and a bunch of housing.
Yes.
Old housing. Was that it?
Yeah,
Was that what I've
Sexton
seen?
down on West Main was a huge complex.
Okay.
And it had originally been a factory because there were so many sheep here. It was they made wool products way back.
I was going to
And
say,
then
we
it
have
changed-
not a lot of sheep here anymore, right?
No, but honey used to be a big thing too. Castor oil used to be a big thing. Things they shift over
Yeah,
time, but
right.
but it was picked up and turned into a clothing factory, and then went bankrupt. And long story there. But then this Mr. Ferguson came from St. Louis and really revived it, and
Yeah.
he built a theater. He had car dealerships, farming implements, feed shops, confectionery, soda shop.
Wow, all in that same area.
Most of it in that
Yeah.
area. And then he worked his way up to Main Street, and he would buy businesses or buy interests in businesses. Or he would compete with them.
Yeah.
And so he got to be a bit of a sore point.
Yeah.
Because he had the big bucks.
Right.
And he had quite a lot of power. There's a
Yeah.
picture of women walking around the courthouse holding placards.
Oh, really?
Those are Sexton women, those beautiful girls,
Mm-hmm.
who Mr. Ferguson has given placards to walk around and protest because he's having an argument with the city over a utility
So he
bill.
pays them to go
He just
and
tells
pick
them.
it. Yes. Yeah. You know what's good for you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Dr. Harlan was the mayor at that time, and they had quite the standoff.
Over utilities.
I think businessmen in the town finally came up with the money just to get the workers back and just to get stability back.
Mm-hmm.
So Ferguson won that one.
Wow. And then eventually, like you said, things change over time, and he ended up going out of business as well, or did he pass away? And
he lost a lot of. It faded.
yeah.
Okay, and then in 1935, some of the movers and shakers from Fairfield went to New York and found Mr. Frankel and some others, and brought his factory here, and made a really sweet deal for him. And he started Shepard's, and that was automobile.
Oh.
Okay,
Yeah.
Shepard's is Chevrolet and Ford's.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
And so they made parts for that. And then after World War II, one of their products was a piece of cloth that was used in some fashion,
Yeah.
textile.
Yeah.
And it was the big seller after World War II. And so they changed the whole name of the company for this Airtex product.
Wow.
So and then they've been Airtex ever since. Yeah,
Wow.
and it's always been car parts.
You might be able to answer this one. Somebody told me at one time that a lot of the brick houses right around 10th, 11th Street and the Sheffield apartments were all built for Airtex workers or
No.
managers? Is that
No, there's Mr. Ferguson likes stucco, and most of
Okay.
the stucco houses are gone. There are a few of them
Okay.
around, but those houses were post World War II for veterans.
Oh, okay.
But they brought the veterans in for Airtex. That was housing for Airtex, but a different
okay.
era.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I had heard that, but I just I figured you might be the one to
Yeah,
ask.
primarily for veterans, and then. But then there was so much housing. Fairfield doubled its size after the war. There was no Lakeview before the war. There was, it was just the western part of Fairfield really took off. Sheffield was part of that. The hospital was part of that. The whole town shifted. The town used to end at First Street. And then with these factories on West Main, and then the railroad right there, okay, it ended there. And then after World War II,
Everything expanded west, huh?
kept going west.
Wow.
Never went east.
There's still
Never went
there's
south.
still hope. Yeah. I know. In my mind, I'm like, let's expand south, get closer to the interstate, because that's as far as tourism goes, getting people to pull off and fill up with gas. But of course, it's outside of city limits.
You can imagine the intense lobbying of the leaders of this town to get 64 as close as possible.
Yes.
And it's the same kind of lobbying they used to get the railroad here, and they were far more successful. They had 2 railroads go through town, so it was huge business.
Right.
But they couldn't get 64 any closer. They lost out on that.
Yeah, 8 miles. It doesn't sound like much, but
It isn't, but
you know.
but yeah, that'll
It's a when you're pulling off the interstate, you'll get 8 miles is an
get
eternity.
gas and
Yes.
get food and yeah.
It's shorter from here to go to the interstate than it is from the interstate to come here.
Yeah.
Because of what you're moving toward.
Yeah.
But it was a valiant fight.
What year did that happen? When
I was
did
in this. Oh gosh. I don't know. I
Not
would
sure.
say 60s,
Okay.
but that's a guess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say I always remember it being here, but it's, for like I said, for tourism with those beautiful little blue signs that say, take this exit. Here's what we have going on, and we can't put anything on there because I think it has to be within
Like
2
3
or
miles,
3.
2 or 3 miles,
yeah. miles for you to get something on that blue sign.
I did not know that.
And it's just depressing for me. Like, every time I drive by it and there's not a thing on it, I'm like, oh,
Well,
but that's also flood
Need
land
to
out
build
there.
something 4 miles, 3 miles from the interstate.
Yes.
Direct people to that, and then from there say, "Oh, now
We have, you only have 4 or 5 miles to go.
That's
blue
right.
sign brought you this far."
Let's give you all of our cool stuff downtown.
Yeah.
And so.
People love this town. Visitors, we have
Yes.
visitors to the
Oh,
museum,
yeah.
and they just go on and on and on about all of it, and about Fairfield.
Yeah.
It's like once you can get people here,
Yes.
we do fine.
Yes. We had such an influx of people come in for the solar eclipse, which we, weren't sure how that was going to go, but we heard nothing but amazing things from, everyone said that Fairfield residents were helpful. They loved, the downtown, and they loved our parks, and they were all so respectful and cleaned up after themselves. But
we kind of have a sad joke at the museums. It's like people from Fairfield who come in will say, "Well, I didn't know you had a museum." And we say,
Yeah.
"Well, we have 3. 2 of them are open, every weekend."
right.
And they said, "Well, how long have you had that?" And I thought, well, that one's been since the 60s, and then this one's been since 2003. And they're just...
It's mind-boggling.
It's as I say, it's a sad joke. But then
Yeah.
people will drive miles to come to it,
Right.
and they're just like, "This is wonderful."
Yes.
It's
we
just like-
we talk about that every week on our podcast. It's like everyone always says there's nothing to do here. There's nothing going
They're
on.
not looking very hard.
No.
No.
Go check that out. Check out the museums. Go to the Victorian on Main,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Kathleen will be happy to give you a tour of there. They have tea-in tours. There's always something
But
happening.
that reinforces our need for that walking tour
Yes.
and driving tour
Mhm.
that is available
yes.
on a drop-in basis with,
Yeah.
with the
always,
QR codes.
I always say the key to this kind of stuff is not necessarily getting them to come to town, but once they get here, making them want to come back.
Yeah. I don't think we ever have a problem with that. And
Yeah.
and Christy's a huge point too for
Yes.
getting people out of town to come into town, and then while they're here, she recommends, hey,
Yeah.
go do this or go eat here or check this out.
People
And
used to come to Fairfield. You could go anywhere in the United States, and
Yeah.
people would know Fairfield for the Sheltons or the farmer store.
I was going to say
Yes.
farmer's store.
And it's just like I see her in that spot.
Yes, definitely. She is the new farmer's store because I lived in Robinson from K through 8th, and I had friends in Robinson, and they would come to the farmer's store to pick out their prom dresses, and it was like, they're close to Evansville, they're close to Terre Haute, these big areas, and they would come to farmer's store, and
My
it's
aunt
just
from
a
Texas
testament.
used to fly up to visit, and then they started driving because she bought too many shoes at the farmer store.
Listen, they had so many shoes in that place.
Yes.
I don't know if it was more shoes or more fabric,
And
but
very patient,
yeah.
very patient ladies showing you the shoes.
Oh, God, love
yeah.
yeah, and they'd have to climb up
Uh-huh.
and get them.
Some of those chairs that you sat in to try on shoes are at the Hannah House.
Are they?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I'll have to like you said. Every time you go in there,
Yeah.
you see something new. and-
Next time you go to the Hannah House, bring an extra pair of shoes so you can sit down and try them on. Get the real experience.
For old
I'll
times'
need a
sake.
grease pen to put the price on. Yeah. 'Cause I always
Right.
had that black marker.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's great. Well, that is all the time we have for today. I knew it would fly by.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much
Yeah,
for
thank you.
coming.
Thanks for having me.
I have enjoyed it, and we may just
It's fairly painless.
good. We may just have to get you on more.
Yep.
But everyone, have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy this beautiful weather.
Bet you're
and
going to be beautiful this weekend.
yes.
Next week, Bo Tatum and Chef Robert.
Robert from the Elks. We're
Yeah.
excited to have them on and talk about all the exciting stuff they have going on. So tune in next Friday at 8:30, and we will see you then.